Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to help you get ahead of a challenge that's, well, it's pretty common, but often flies under the radar in the professional world.
That's right. And if you find this useful, please do hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you along for future deep dives.
Definitely. Okay, so today's topic is something called supplier-induced demand, specifically in professional services.
Which essentially means, the people diagnosing your problems are also the ones selling you the fixes.
And this really matters whether you're, say, making big strategic calls, running a team, or even just trying to understand how expertise works or is used in organizations today.
We're drawing heavily from a Harvard Business Review article on this, Combating Supplier-Induced Demand in Professional Services. So this isn't just theory.
No, it's grounded in research, real examples. And our mission here really is to help you spot this dynamic and hopefully avoid paying for things you don't actually need.
Yeah, avoiding those unnecessary costs and interventions. A great starting point, actually, is a historical one the article mentions. Early 20th century, Britain and this tonsillectomy craze.
Tonsillectomy craze. Okay, tell me more.
Well, after the Boer War setbacks, there was this growing idea that, the nation's health was poor, and that was a big problem.
Right, and somehow tonsils got blamed.
Exactly. Suddenly, these little bits of tissue were seen as the root cause for all sorts of issues. Kids with coughs, kids in hospital for something else entirely.
Might just end up getting their tonsils out.
Wow. It became incredibly common across Britain. It looked like a simple fix, a kind of miracle cure for this national health concern.
But the reality was more complex, I assume.
Oh, much more. There wasn't really solid evidence that all these surgeries were improving children's health overall, and sometimes there were negative consequences.
So the doctors identifying the problem, poor health, were also the ones profiting from the solution, the surgery.
Precisely. That's supplier-induced demand in a nutshell. The volume of surgeries just shot way past what was medically necessary.
And it's kind of scary how that same pattern shows up today, right? In business.
Absolutely. Think about strategy consultants. How often does their advice lead to, say, a massive reorg?
Which then requires more consultants.
You got it. Or lawyers maybe suggesting escalating a dispute, which means more litigation.
More billable hours.
Yeah. Or financial advisors pushing for acquisitions. Those generate fees, too.
Now, the article is careful to say this isn't usually about, like, cartoonishly evil professionals twirling their mustaches.
No, not typically. Many genuinely believe their advice is good. But the structure of the industry, the incentives, they can subtly push things in a certain direction.
A direction that benefits the supplier.
Right. And this is amplified by just how complex things are now. Finance, tech, law. It's also specialized, interconnected.
So executives feel overwhelmed. AI, blockchain, new regulations.
Exactly. They feel they have to rely on external experts just to make sense of it all.
Which fuels the growth of these professional service firms.
Definitely. And that leads straight back to that inherent conflict of interest.
The old saying, don't ask a barber if you need a haircut.
That's the one. But in professional services, that's often exactly what we do. The problem finder is the solution seller.
Although, to be fair, the article does acknowledge that real expertise exists, and long-term relationships can build trust.
Yes, that's important. Research suggests that embedded, trusting relationships can actually reduce this kind of opportunistic behavior, so it's not all bad.
But the industry itself has changed, hasn't it?
Dramatically. It used to be smaller partnerships focused on giving advice. Now, many are huge commercial operations.
With sales targets, revenue pressure.
A huge focus on bringing in new business. The rainmakers, partnership criteria have shifted towards that commercial side.
And this has led to what the article calls the action-oriented expert.
Yeah, I like that term. Professionals who see themselves not just as advisors, but as drivers of change. Proactive agents.
So there's this compulsion to always be doing something, suggesting new initiatives.
Even if the value is a bit murky, and clients often expect that too. They want to see action, progress. It becomes a reinforcing cycle.
Okay, let's bring this into the HR world because this feels incredibly relevant there.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the explosion in, say, well-being programs, mental health apps, engagement strategies, DEI initiatives.
You see where this is going? Are the people diagnosing the problems? Burnout, low engagement, lack of diversity.
Also the ones selling the very specific, often quite expensive solutions.
Seems like a perfect example of this supplier-induced demand.
It really does. You suddenly see a surge in, mindfulness apps pushed to corporates, or mandatory unconscious bias training becoming the standard.
Often sold as a package deal.
Whoa.
Or engagement surveys that, surprise, surprise, reveal problems that the surveyor's consulting arm is perfectly equipped to fix.
Right. And while some of these things might genuinely help, you have to ask, who's benefiting most? And are we measuring the actual impact?
Or just ticking the box. Saying, we did the training, we launched the app, is the focus on the activity, not the outcome.
That's a critical question. And then you have the rise of the, let's call them overnight experts.
Oh, yes. A new workplace anxiety pops up.
And suddenly there are specialists with proprietary solutions ready to capitalize on it. They diagnose the trendy problem and sell the trendy cure.
But it's hard to actually prove this is happening, right? That's the tricky part.
It is. Services are customized, outcomes are fuzzy. If a big HR project doesn't deliver, there are always excuses, other factors.
And you can never know what would have happened if you hadn't done it. The what if is impossible to answer.
So the HBR article gives some recommendations, sort of guardrails, to help organizations protect themselves. And we can definitely apply these to HR.
Okay, let's hear them.
First one, selectively in-source specialized activities. For HR, that means building real internal muscle in areas like OD, talent management, DEI, analytics.
So you're less reliant on outsiders and can better judge their advice. Makes sense.
Second, strengthen in-house expertise and oversight. Maybe empower your internal HR team more, or even bring in an independent advisor, like a retired CHRO, someone with no skin in the game, to vet proposals from big consultancies.
That independent viewpoint, yeah. What's number 3?
Separate diagnosis from implementation.
Ah, like the barber analogy again.
Exactly. Get one firm, maybe a smaller specialized one, to figure out why engagement is low, really dig into the root causes, then maybe get a different provider to implement solutions if needed.
So the diagnostician isn't just finding problems their own tools can fix.
Precisely. Fourth is codify knowledge and processes. Have clear frameworks for when you launch HR initiatives. Demand transparency from vendors. What's your diagnostic process? What data backs up this solution?
Push for evidence, not just buzzwords.
Okay. Fifth, avoid symbolic engagements. Don't just roll out the latest trendy HR program because everyone else is, or to look good.
Or to justify a decision someone already made.
Right. That just opens the door for more services later. Have clear criteria for when you actually need external help.
Be intentional, not just reactive. And the last one.
Foster a culture that values, and this is key, the right kind of restraint.
Meaning,
Question the constant push for new. Reward leaders and HR folks who thoughtfully ask, do we really need another program here? Sometimes the best decision for well-being or engagement is actually doing nothing new.
rewarding thoughtful inaction. That's counterintuitive in many corporate cultures.
It is. But it might be crucial to avoid getting caught in the supplier-induced cycle.
So, summing up then, this supplier-induced demand thing, it's subtle, it's complex, not just about greed.
It's baked into the structure of professional services, including HR, organizational development, all those areas.
And the key takeaway for you, listening, is really about critical thinking. Question the advice, especially when the advisor profits directly from the solution they're recommending.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. We're swimming in expert advice on improving organizations, improving people. How do we get better at telling the difference between a real need and a solution looking for a problem?
Yeah, what would it actually look like to value, even reward, not launching another HR initiative sometimes, something to chew on?